recording. I guess
Awesome.
we should say who we are.
Okay. Well, I'm Kat Widder. I am the Wellness Coordinator for Alamo Heights ISD.
I'm Michelli Ramon. I'm a clinical social worker and big fan of Kat Widder.
I'm a big fan of Michelli. She used to do this job. so, so that's kind of cool to have the two of us together.
A decade ago. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I started it like a decade ago. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so you and I got on the phone 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
or it was last week, and we started talking about students, and then we both got real fired up because we're both fans of students.
absolutely.
And so what I remember is that I was telling you some of the feedback that I was getting
hmm
from in my private practice
hmm
from young people. And so we just started coming up with all these great talking points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the feedback that you're getting from students is the same that I'm getting.
Mhm.
They're just in different realms, right? But it
Right.
was the same type of stuff that we're both hearing
Right. Yeah.
of
This
how they're struggling right now.
right, like this idea. So I think one of the myths is that this distance learning is easier,
Right.
that students are getting off easy, and I don't see that at all.
No.
I am hearing from students that it's much more difficult for a variety of reasons, right?
Mhm. What are you hearing that's difficult for them with distance learning?
Missing the connection with their teacher, the material, just like having to figure out the material, um,
Right.
with only seeing being in a video class once or twice a week, right? And also, I think the other big one I'm hearing is motivation,
Right.
right?
That's probably the biggest one I'm hearing. And I talked to kids who were doing online learning anyway. I have several kids that were doing that anyway. And they're even finding the distance learning hard because they had access to teachers, even though they were doing online. And now it's just really hard and the motivation just isn't there.
Right. Like we probably never, or maybe we did see it, I don't know, but maybe we took for granted the energy like the inertia that's created by going to school and sitting in a classroom and being with your peers. And
Right.
so yeah, so a lot of students, and it's like, here's the thing, right? Like I relate to that because I don't feel
Oh,
motivated to do anything either,
no.
right?
Right, because you and I were supposed to start this video at 9:30,
Yeah.
and my lack of motivation
Same.
caused me to text you and say, "Can we push it to 9:45 because
Right.
I can't get going today."
Right. We're
Um,
all struggling with motivation, and we're asking our students to still do 3, 4,
right.
8 hours of school every day. And I'm
When they have nothing else to do to break that up, no exciting thing to look forward to, um, no friends to hang out with, so I think there's this balance that helps with our motivation. And if we don't have that balance, the motivation just declines.
right, you're right. Like I'll get through this math homework, and when I'm done, I'll have this.
Yes. Yes. And so previously, like one of the number one escape strategies that teenagers use is Netflix, right? I don't know if you hear that, but um and now like
So
they're over it.
number one.
Yeah, yeah. But now they're over it. They're like, I've watched so much Netflix, my eyeballs are gonna fall out.
Yeah, I have finished Netflix.
Right. Right.
Just
Right. Which
kidding.
was that possible before coronavirus? I don't think it was possible, but now, yeah, I'm done with Netflix. I finished it. Start to finish, I've watched everything. And
Yeah,
so not having this anything in between. Schoolwork is it.
right.
And that's really hard for our kids.
Right.
Even
Well,
the most advanced kids, the
oh,
ones that, you know, it's really hard for everybody right now.
across the board, honor students, not honor students. I think everybody's feeling that, and of course that makes you and I think a lot about parents, right?
Right.
And so I hear a range of things from students, but one thing I hear a lot of is, parents really trying to encourage their kids to keep a schedule and stay on track with their school, which I appreciate, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
now a homeschooler also. Um,
Mhm.
but I think part of too what you and I want to do is maybe kind of let parents off the hook a little bit, or at least ask them to let their kids off the hook just a little bit.
Exactly. Right. Because, and I'll tell parents, check out this Washington Post article that came out yesterday, which really gives us permission to just be in a pandemic. We don't have to be accomplishing a million things. I don't have to clean out our closet if I don't feel like it. Just because I have the time doesn't mean I have to do it.
Right,
I don't
right,
have to organize and I think seal the concrete in my garage
right,
just because I have the time.
right. And so should we be saying to our students, you've got to get all your work done today, and um, I just don't know.
No, I will tell you as a professional, but also as a parent, no. There's days when I'm like, you know what? I can feel the energy in this house, and we are all just going to sit and do our thing. And
Yeah,
I do not have to be a teacher today, and I don't have to be on top of everything. We can have a couple days where we just are, you
yeah,
know, because we are in, and it's like you and I were talking about, we are in a part of history right now, but none of us want to be here. You know, we're going to be in the history books, but I don't want to be.
right,
And so it's okay for me to just be like, wow, this is really awful.
right.
And no, honey, you don't have to follow your schedule today. Like I can actually say that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that also brings me to this point that just keeps coming up in my head, which is social media.
Mhm.
And what social media does to us as parents, it can be great. It don't get me wrong, it can be a great escape. It can be a phenomenal way to connect with people right now, but also it can be a way of pointing out to me what my flaws are
Yeah,
because my friend on social media has a full home office set up that she did within 24 hours and a classroom and the schedule that's color coded. And I mean, more power to those people, but
right,
that's not me. And when I see it, it just makes me feel bad. Like I am not doing enough. And
right.
I can't be the only person who feels that way. And I think we need to really remind ourselves that it really is okay to trust what my values are,
Yeah,
right?
right. And that's what you and I were talking about last week too, is how do parents know how they should be framing their students learning at home? And what you and I, the conclusion that you and I came to is there is no right or wrong.
Right.
You really have to set your home school up based on your family's own values, whatever that is, right? Like let me show you, like there's my cute classroom.
I love it.
We never use it.
Right.
He sits in his underwear in my bed while I scream at him to do his math worksheets. You
Right.
know? So
We
I, yeah,
have a classroom,
yeah,
and I laid in bed with my 11-year-old last night for hours because she kept telling me all during the week that she was getting her stuff done, but she wasn't. And so then we were like, oh, it's a holiday. We
right,
actually have to everything in tomorrow. And so yeah, you know, our values are a lot of centered around family.
yeah,
That's, you know, that's where my values are. So actually I'm kind of enjoying the slower pace,
yeah,
the quality time, the fact that we can watch a ton of movies together because we're movie fans, like
yeah.
this family. And so we can do that. We can have game night. Those are our values and we'll get the school done.
Right, right. And so so in my house, like I am one of those people that I really do value a strong education.
Absolutely.
And you know, so my son is Latino, which means he already has like a 50% chance of not graduating from high school. So I take the learning really seriously. Um, and yet I haven't been able to do that. I have not been able to successfully keep him on task all day, every day. And
I think that's such a great point because, you know, I value school as well. It's why I work in a school system.
right,
You know, I spent time outside of the school system for a while and realized, no, I really, education is my focus, right? Um, but I am not a teacher. I,
right,
I purposely did not become an educator because I know it is not within my skill set.
right.
And so, in order for us to stay sane in our household, because we stay in the same four walls all the time right now, we just have to focus on what's going to keep us happy and then sprinkle in the work here and there and stay afloat, really.
So what you and I are saying to parents is, number one, don't compare yourself to what other parents are doing
Hmm.
in terms of homeschooling. Number two, set your homeschool up based on your family's personal values. If your values are playfulness and quality time, then that's your school, right?
Right.
um and then also, like, give yourself a break, because there's no way you're going to be able to live up to your values 100% in terms
Right.
of in terms of homeschooling your kid, right? Like,
Hmm.
we are all living under this blanket of this COVID-19 depression,
Hmm.
and we just have to cut ourselves some slack. And I really want to say to parents, like, cut your kids some slack on the learning.
Hmm.
I think that probably your boss and my old boss is not, some people are not going to like that statement, but I guess I also feel too, like, I have a lot of trust in the education system that when we return to the classroom, we're going to find a way to differentiate learning and get
Oh,
everyone
absolutely. And and that's not to discount what all of our teachers are doing.
right.
The, how above and beyond they are going right now to put together lessons and spend time teaching
Oh yeah,
online. I mean, it's phenomenal.
so much.
But I think what we're really stressing is that we need to focus on the fact that we really are all grieving,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of us.
yeah,
And if we don't acknowledge that, it just keeps going down, right?
yeah.
Um, we have grief that, I think in our country, we've done a really good job of acknowledging the grief of our seniors,
Hmm.
our high school seniors, our college seniors, because we can acknowledge, like, you were supposed to be at the end of this.
We were supposed to be celebrating right now.
Right, like this really long run of school, and you're supposed to be at the end. We're supposed to celebrate, and there was this whole checklist of things that we're supposed to
Right.
be doing, and it's not happening.
Not at all.
But I also think we need to acknowledge just our eighth graders, who are
Right.
like, they're going to be done and going to high school, but that's not being acknowledged. Our fifth graders who are finishing elementary school, and we don't get to do the cool stuff for fifth graders either.
Right.
But not just that, it's just the grief that we're all feeling. And I don't know that we are using that word.
Right. It is grief.
It is grief.
Right. If you look, and like, if I think about my clients that I've seen in the last few weeks, and I look at the kind of symptoms, right, that everybody's having, you're right. It does mimic grief. That
Hmm.
kind of like the sort of like absent-mindedness and just sort of apathy, feeling
Hmm.
exhausted, feeling numb. That's exactly what grief feels like.
Right.
Yeah.
And and us as adults, the parents, the teachers, we're all grieving lots of different things right now.
Oh my God.
It's ironic because when you hit the spring in the school system, we are all tired, right? We're like, oh, just gotta get to the summer, just gotta make it. And sometimes it can be hard to keep going, right? And now all I hear is how much we all just want to be back at school. Even though, ironically, at this point, if we were in school, we would be like, just let it be done. But all we want now is to be back.
Right.
Um,
It's such a mix of contradicting emotions we're all experiencing.
mhm.
Right. And I think, like, as adults, we know how to make sense of that, but I think our students, our kids, don't necessarily know how to make sense of all of that.
No,
Can we talk for a minute about mental health of our students?
absolutely.
Yeah. Because I think that, so whether you had mental health concerns already or not, I think we're all experiencing it right now.
Mhm.
We're feeling that the blanket of COVID, the frustration, I'm just going to go ahead and call it depression. It feels like depression and grief,
Mhm.
right? And so I
Mhm.
think it's important for parents to remember that if your child had already some kind of depression, anxiety, or something going on, it's likely that some of those symptoms are going to escalate,
Mhm.
right? And if your child never had depression or anxiety, it's likely that some of those things might show up, at least temporarily.
Right. And then there's the other kid that had symptoms but hid them, and that's tricky too. So those are the kids where the parents didn't actually know that their kiddo was struggling a little bit, And now with COVID-19, these symptoms may seem to have come out of the blue,
Right, come out of nowhere.
but they were underlying and not being addressed because the kids were working so hard to hide them. And it's a lot harder to hide symptoms
Right.
when we're in quarantine.
Well, we're stuck inside of our bodies. We have nothing to do but
Right.
see how, like, to notice how we feel in our bodies and notice what we're thinking about. And so in my clients, I'm noticing a dramatic escalation in any kind of eating disorder or body dysmorphia. I'm seeing that up in people because we just don't have anything else to do except think about our bodies and what we're eating.
You know, that's interesting because I talked to a group of girls yesterday, and they used the term insecure. They said they were feeling so much more insecure right now. And so we kind of talked about what that meant. Um, one girl said paranoid, just like with her significant other, she was constantly like, are we okay? Because what
Right.
you
Insecure.
normally do in your relationships is not able to happen right now, and we can't see each other. But insecurity goes hand in hand with what you're talking about, the body dysmorphia, the kind of just being stuck with your own thoughts.
Right.
So,
Uncertainty of so many things.
mhm.
So
Well, and I think we also need to talk about what is available
yeah,
because it's limited.
right.
Um, it's it's not hard to find the services that are out there, but we feel like the counselors in Alamo Heights, we feel like we're just throwing it out there constantly, like, hey, we're here, call, like, here's how to find us, here's our number. um, but I still think we need to keep doing that because the counselors in all of this, not just Alamo Heights, but
Right.
all the school districts are available
Right.
and ready to talk to kids, meet with them by video, talk to them on the phone, text them. Right. um, and for starters, just go to the website of the school district and you'll find lots of info about the counselors. But there's also counselors just like you that
Yeah.
are still in business, still seeing clients.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think a lot of my colleagues are finding themselves wanting to be even more available these days. Just
How do you make that happen? Like in the therapy world?
yeah, so that's a good question. Well, so a lot of like telemedicine and phone calls, um, which I think some folks feel like you can't get the same thing accomplished, but in my experience, you can. Like
Mhm.
a kind and loving ear is a kind and loving ear no
Yeah.
matter what, right? Right?
Well, I think with the huge increase in video conversations, I
Yeah.
think we're all for the first time experiencing firsthand
Yeah.
that it isn't as awkward as we think it's going to be,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because I think probably there's people who, like you said, who didn't think telemedicine would work. Like, how's it going to work? We're on a camera. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But now it's like, no, we sit in meetings all day and we accomplish a lot, and we laugh and we have genuine connection with the people. And so I think this is really helpful for people to understand, no, it's a connection, whether like I can hug you when we're done or not, we're still connecting.
Right.
um, and
And
I love how you said that.
we
a,
need that.
a, a caring ear, a caring person, doesn't matter what form it comes in.
Yeah.
That's what makes therapy beneficial.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I think as you're saying that, I think this is what we kind of, maybe you and I can close with is, um, look, I always say, and I really believe that we struggle because of the stories we tell ourselves, right? And I wonder, like for me, regarding my kids, I have some irrational fears around what all this homeschooling is going to be and what's it going to do to them and what's going to happen. And so my irrational fear is that my son is not going to get what he needs, and he's going to be behind, and therefore he won't be successful,
mm.
and then he will live with me forever. I won't be,
Totally irrational,
right?
yes.
And right, it's irrational, and but if I don't verbalize that, I'm launching all my parenting from that irrational fear.
Right. And I think I need to address right now the fact that we all are wired differently.
Mhm.
And so as you're saying that, I'm thinking, am I supposed to be worried about my kids living with me forever? Because I am very much an in the moment person.
Yeah,
And so, your irrational thoughts, I'm like, they don't occur to me because I'm in the moment. I'm so in the moment where I'm like, oh, I have to leave this house right now, right? I'm not going to survive the next 30 minutes with these people.
might not. Yeah,
Um, but I think we need to acknowledge that, I think you and I are on different ends, and there's all in between as well. So everybody in our world is experiencing um, different things and thoughts, but we really are stuck with our own thoughts and
yeah,
what that equates to. And um, thinking rationally is I'm finding it's very hard in a pandemic to think rationally.
yeah. Yeah. Surprise! It's really hard to be
Right.
rational in a pandemic. But you know what? And like side note, it makes a lot of sense though. Like you and I in our field, we study trauma, and we know that when a person is in the middle of trauma or in the middle of danger, the logical part of the brain kind of disconnects, right? And here we are, I think, inundated daily with
Right.
messages of danger.
Right.
you
Trauma.
you might die,
Right.
so yeah, the logical part of my brain is not in full effect, and so neither is it for our kids, right?
Right. Right. And they don't all, because we're mostly talking about high school students. We should probably clarify that.
Right.
But we're talking all age ranges, and they all are, experiencing things differently. And so you have some kids that are just like living their best life. This is the greatest thing ever. Like, I don't have to go to school.
Yeah,
I can just hang
that's
out in
the
my
kid.
house.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have kids that are like, I can't be in my house. This, we have kids that it is not a safe place for them to be
Right.
in the house. Um, and then, other kids are like, I kind of understand what's happening in the world. And I kind of am not very hopeful that this is going to end anytime soon.
Right.
Um, and then how that plays into mental health, how that plays into grief. And I'm really glad you brought up trauma, because I think we really do need to acknowledge that this is a traumatic event for our entire country.
Yeah.
We are all experiencing trauma right now. Um, and it will, it forever alters how you see things, how you experience things.
Right.
Um, and getting getting the support we need right now is not easily accessible, but it is there.
Right. And I'll say this too, one more thing about trauma. In the research around trauma, there's evidence that when you experience a trauma with a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
your symptoms are lessened and more easily resolved because you have this shared experience with people
Oh,
versus going through a trauma on your own. And so even more of a case for us to really sort of all be in this together, right? Nobody
mm-hmm.
needs to silver line it. Nobody needs to compare themselves to anyone else. We just
Right.
need to be in it together.
Right. Oh, that's a perfect way to end our conversation, I think, because we are okay. Yeah. And I'm totally now the song from High School Musical is in my head, but we are all in this together. And I think we just need to remember that
Yeah.
and be easier on ourselves.
Right.
If
Right.
I don't want to clean out my closet, I'm not going to clean out my closet in a pandemic.
And if your kid can't finish their organic chem homework, it's fine.
It's okay.
It's
It's
a really
okay. It'll get done. Maybe just not today, right?
won't. Yeah. We'll be
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
yeah. So
was
what
great
should
talking.
parents do if they wanna reach you? What should they do?
Well, they can go to the Alamo Heights website because it has our contact information,
Okay.
our email addresses, and we've put out a couple advisories for our students. And in the advisories for the junior school and for the high school, they have counselor contact information. Um,
Cool.
I have a wellness Facebook page and a wellness Instagram.
Ooh,
I know, look at me go.
yeah,
And the contact information's on there too. So there are lots and lots of ways to find how to get in touch with us.
cool.
All
All
right.
right, Pat, well, thank you. Oh,
Thank
wait.
you. But yeah, but I want to know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, they can, easiest way is probably to go to my website. It's michelliramon.com. Not
Awesome.
creative, not creative at all. Not a creative name at all.
No, it's easy. It's easy to remember.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you.
I'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.